Hello there, welcome to another wee bit of a video. It is the month of October. It is scary season, so I promise you, I'm trying to get creative with a little bit of scary stuff. We're gonna be doing Dead by Daylight. We're gonna be doing Resident Evil tier list, and last week we did scariest NBA players. It's kind of all over the place, right? Like Resident Evil, Dead by Daylight, NBA, whatever. It's scary season, it's spooky season. I'm getting in the spirit. I love Halloween, and honestly, more so because it is the month of just the fall, and my brother's birthday's this month, costume parties this month. Just all in all, a good time with the NBA being back, the NFL being back. So yeah, spooky season, man. Love the fall, love the month. Without further ado, let's look at what we're gonna be doing today, and that's Resident Evil all canon games from Resident Evil 1 to Resident Evil 8 tier list maker. I've been following Resident Evil since I was like 4 or 5 years old, maybe. Nah, that might have been too early. Since I've been I want to say honestly, since I've been 7 or 8 then, because I grew up watching my cousins play Resident Evil, and eventually I started playing them myself, and I followed the timeline from the beginning of time in terms of Resident Evil timeline to the current timeline from past Resident Evil 8. So I think it's only fair that I have my input. And again, all the opinions that I have of these games is my opinion. It's not your opinion. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I might put a video game at a C or a B or an A or an S or whatever, wherever I put them, and you might disagree. And here's the thing about tier list videos. They're all subjective. Okay, so if you don't like it, feel free to dislike the video, like the video, comment, whatever. Do whatever you gotta do. Just know that none of this is facts. I will be giving reasonings as to why I put games where, but at the end of the day, all of it is an opinion. So if your favorite game is not where you want it to be, comment down below. Let me know why you disagree, why you agree, why you feel a type of way. I just think that having these kind of discussions is fun, and it's what makes the community as a whole awesome, being able to discuss these things. Anyway, first game on the list, Resident Evil 6 D. Easily one of the worst games of the franchise. I just think they didn't know where they were going with story. Just so I want to say it's just so weird on how forced, I guess, some of the events felt. I would say the only good thing that came out of Resident Evil 6 is that because of how bad Resident Evil 6 was, they said, hey, we need to step our game up. Let's make Resident Evil 7. So Resident Evil 6 brought something good in this world, and that's making the game better for 7. Resident Evil Outbreak is actually going to be a B. I think that the idea was there. I think some of the execution was there. I do not like, I guess, how all over the place it felt like it was sometimes, and the ending I thought was just kind of stupid. I definitely would like them to make the characters make less characters so that it can be more of a canon endings. I'm not a fan of endings that could be for example, what game am I thinking of? Like Silent Hill. I've just been following that story, and I don't like games that don't have a definitive ending. Again, that's a preference thing. That's a me thing. Some other people might agree with me. I like definitive, like this is what happens. Very, very, very seldom is it like, oh, I like this ending, even though it's up for interpretation. Very seldom do I have those kind of shows or movies or games. But anyway, Resident Evil Outbreak, I thought it was fun. I remember playing up in the hospital, getting lost. My cousin was playing and I was watching, and I'm just like, dude, this dude with the bugs around him or whatever, the black stuff, we didn't know how to beat him. We got stuck. I ended up YouTubing the whole game. There was some good stuff, like I said, some scary moments, but all in all, the story felt kind of okay. But yeah, I would definitely leave it at a B. Resident Evil 3, the remake, they fumbled the bag really, really hard with this game, because one of the best enemies, villains, whatever you want to call this, in the Resident Evil franchise was Nemesis, and they took Nemesis from the original and said, okay, let's make this the most scripted guy to come in. Like one of the best parts about watching the original Resident Evil 3 was that Nemesis would just come out and lay the smack down and just do what he's got to do without you planning on it. Well, the game has planned it out for you. Like, he's gonna come in at these moments, and it just took away the suspense. It took away the horror. It took away the scariness, because I knew when he was gonna come. After you, like, it was just dumb. And they took away a lot of the parts of the game. They made the game really short, like really short. It was rushed. It was frustrating because you have the core idea of what they were trying to do, which was the original, and they just botched it. Not a good way to go about it. Revelations 2 is actually not a bad game at all. I actually really enjoy the raid mode. The raid mode I think is really fun. Some awesome stuff with that. I honestly wish they'd do something like that again. Raid mode's really fun. The storyline's not bad, but I do like that it's co-op and you can kind of play with a friend, or me personally. I played with my brother. I also played with my cousin once. Moving to Resident Evil 5. I know that this might be a hot take, right? I actually really enjoyed Resident Evil 5 because of the co-op. And unlike Revelations, like, whoever you are in terms of like the teammate, they don't get a gun. They, like, if you're the little girl, I think was it Sherry? No, it's not Sherry. I forgot her name. She points. Like, that's stupid. Or if you're Claire and the other girl, Mia or whatever, Maya, something like that. She has a flashlight. Like, that's stupid. But Shiva, she's like Chris in the sense where you can carry assault rifles, SMGs, stun rods, and all this kind of stuff. And it was so fun to play if you have someone to play with. Now, if you were by yourself, probably not fun, because the horror aspect of the game is completely taken away. Like, there is no horror when you're with someone else, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm playing by myself and I have a teammate who's constantly walking around with me and it's an AI, I'm not as nearly as scared. But in terms of an action standpoint and a fun standpoint, and like collecting all these gems and these treasures and doing all these missions and finding some hidden spots, fighting some insanely weird enemies, having to make plans when they have bulletproof vests and you kind of got to shoot them in the arm, or you can't shoot them in the head because they got the head thing. It's just like, there's so much cool stuff, and they did so much awesomeness for a co-op game. And I can't stress enough how much you need someone to play with. Like, if I didn't end up playing this game with my cousins or my brother, this game would be stupid. Flat out. But if you have someone to play with, it's really fun. Resident Evil 2, easily, it's what put, let me just do this right now. I'm gonna do this right now, not waste any time. These games put me on Resident Evil, and they made me love and adore the game to where here I am today. Like, because for a lot of people, the original Resident Evil was there first, right? What I grew up watching was Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, watching my cousins play it, and with his family, just sitting on the couch, just like, damn, run. So many zombies, like, run. It was so awesome. The nostalgia alone, it just takes the cake. I think it's just amazing what these two games did for the series. For me, absolutely phenomenal. Resident Evil Outbreak Part 2, I actually never played. I have heard of it. I've seen a couple of videos. I cannot properly rank it. It would be so unfair. Resident Evil, the OG, again, or no, this is the remake, right? The OG, but it's the remake, I believe. Let me see. Okay, so it's the remake, I believe. Yes. Because that's the GameCube version, but they also came out with it on the PlayStation 3 and 4. This game, definitely an A-tier game. Super fun. In hindsight, if I had to pick a game to play now, obviously I'd have more fun playing this one than these two. But that's because they refined it from the first game. Like the very first Resident Evil I'd probably be bored out of my mind playing it, but that's because technology has evolved so much over the years. That's so unfair. But it's also like I'm rating the impact and how fun it was at the time and how fun it was for me growing up when technology wasn't where it's at today. I still want to. I really still am thinking. Yeah. Okay. So the first three are going to be an S, no doubt about it. The amount of joy it brought me growing up and scares in a fun way. So awesome. I don't remember that game. Revelations was okay at best. Jill was a fun character, but I guess the game never really struck a chord in me, but there were some fun moments. Obviously playing as Jill, a lot of people love Jill the character, so it was cool, but honestly, I'm thinking about C. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in C tier. It never resonated with me. People might say it was better than 2 and Outbreak. Here's where I say it's an opinion. It's an opinion, dude. It's super subjective. This could be A for you. You could have enjoyed the hell out of that game. For me, not so much. Resident Evil 2 Remake, 100% S tier. I thought what they did with the remake was phenomenal. I had an absolute blast. I was terrified as hell of Mr. X. I actually recently played the game with my girlfriend. I introduced her into the Resident Evil universe, and I said, hey, like, you got to check this stuff out. It's super dope, super cool. And she's like, okay, well, I'll watch you play it. And she watched me play it, and it's just awesome. Going through that with her, some of the puzzles, and again, Mr. X is terrifying. He is like on your ass at all times once you obviously first get to see all of him. So it's a great game. Love what they did with it. Absolute S tier. Resident Evil 7, Biohazard. I want to put it at highest of A. A great game, without question. And the only reason why it's not an S is because all these games are just peak Resident Evil, right? Resident Evil 7 introducing Ethan, great job. You really couldn't ask for a better story in terms of a new story that didn't really involve the characters that we've come to know. And I became very interested in the Baker house, into their characters, into how this happened, why it happened. I became very interested in Ethan's story, and again, just a great job. All in all, just a really good game. A game that I can look back on and say, yeah, definitely an A-tier game. Resident Evil 7. After this colossal waste of time, great comeback, Capcom. Really, it's a phenomenal game. Resident Evil 0 is just okay. I guess for me, it's really just not too fun. People might find it fun. I just don't see the joy in it. Rebecca's cool and all. I think his name's Billy, but it's the only time we see him. It's okay. Not bad, not great. Resident Evil Village, another really good game. I don't think it was better than 7 because the beginning felt weird in a sense of, in terms of just the pacing. I don't know. It didn't feel the same as 7. I don't think it was as scary. Going through the different bosses, like there were some cool concepts. I think it was stupid that we never got to see Ethan's face. Obviously 7 we didn't either, but you'd think in the follow-up we would. It was a good game without question, and there were some cool concepts, especially with the big fat dude and how you had to buy from him and how he knew the guy from Resident Evil 4, the merchant. Like cool stuff, great stuff. Definitely an A-tier game without question. I truly believe that. It's just that comparing it to 7, I don't think it was as good, right? But you know, we did get to see some more lore being shown. Which is a good thing because towards the end when Chris was going through that lair, more lore. So for all of you diehard fans, you got to see that as well. Good game. Again, this game, if it was just me playing by myself, this game would be way lower. But because of the co-op and when I'm playing with my cousin or my brother, this game is phenomenal. Like, it's a great game to play with someone. If you're playing it by yourself, it's going way down, and it's not even funny. It's going way down. Code Veronica is another really good game that I absolutely enjoyed watching. Again, growing up, watching my cousins play it. So fun, so good, great story. It doesn't hold up well today because obviously graphics and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Still, it's just a great game. A solid follow-up to Resident Evil. Really, it's like Resident Evil 3.5 because 2 and 3 is in Resident Evil. 2 and 3 is in Raccoon City. Code Veronica is right after Raccoon City almost. So yeah, Resident Evil Survivor. I've seen people play it like actually in person as well, but I was way too young to even remotely remember this off of the one time they played it. I've seen a couple of videos. It's just I don't remember much, so I'm gonna not rank it. Umbrella Chronicles. I've seen videos. It looks terrible, but I've never played it or seen it in person, so it's unfair of me to rank it properly. The greatest Resident Evil game of all time. Resident Evil 4. I'm gonna get into it why right now after I put this right there. Resident Evil 4 is the greatest Resident Evil game of all time, and I don't think that it's really close, strictly because it revolutionized, I feel like, the third person shooter in a way that no other game could at the time. It made things scary while also giving you adrenaline. It made things fun while also making you scared. It made things scary while also giving you excitement. And it's just like, so much about this game is amazing. And from the little things of your briefcase and the way you have to organize it, from the little things of hello stranger, from the little things of just Leon being a badass and jumping out windows or kicking people or just doing all kinds of cool stuff, and the setting of the village, and then, you know, some Easter eggs, and then eventually seeing Ada, and there's so much goodness in one game. And it wasn't a short game either. I love that. I hate super short Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 3 Remake, you know what I'm talking about. Resident Evil 4 is just the epitome, I think, of the closest thing you can get to a perfect Resident Evil game. Like, seriously, it's amazing. And I will be playing the remake for 4. I don't know if I'll be doing videos on it whenever it comes out in 2023, just because I upload so much different stuff, and that's the point of the channel. I mean, I'd consider it for sure. It's just one of those things to where I guess I don't know how I'd do it. Maybe I'd upload like 5 videos in one day or something, or maybe I'd just upload one super long video of a playthrough, or I don't know how I'd do it. It has to be parts for sure, actually, but that's not the point. The point is, Resident Evil 4 is the greatest Resident Evil game and one of the greatest games of all time, without question. The speedrun community, the fandom, so many people will say, in all aspects, from speedrunning to just enjoying the game to 100% in the game, like, just amazing, absolutely amazing. Talking about Resident Evil, the original, great game as well. I actually never got to see too much of it because, to be blunt, I was way too young. I did catch a lot of moments of it though, when I was 7 or 8 years old. Also when I was 11 and 12, actually, my cousins did play Resident Evil. We did a whole playthrough and I watched all of it. It was still a great game. 11. What was that? Wait, let me think about this. No, actually, I think I'm really talking about the remake. I'm 100% sure that I'm talking about the remake because the GameCube version came out in like 2004. And by the time I was 11, 12 years old, it was 2011, 2012. Yeah, I'm talking about the remake. Yeah, I this is only here because it's the first Resident Evil game. I've actually never played it. I've seen clips of it. Actually, I've 100% seen clips of it because I've seen graphic comparisons. Wow, that really got lost in my brain. I was way too young for when Resident Evil came out. And by the time I started getting into that scary stuff, when I was allowed to watch that, the GameCube version and like the better graphics version was already out. So with that being said, I guess I should put Unplayed. I was just way too young, dude. Like way too young. Way too young to even remotely remember that. So yeah, it's actually gonna go in Unplayed because everything I'm remembering is literally just this. It's literally just this one. So I mean, yeah, dude, no shot. I can't rank that. It's so not fair. And the only reason why I can rank Code Veronica OG3 and OG2 is because the remakes weren't out till later, and I watched so much of these right here. So much. So freaking much. So yeah, this is my tier list. I'm gonna zoom out so you guys can see it. Remember, everything is completely subjective. My opinion will be different than yours, and that's totally fair. I've played a lot of the games. I've watched a lot of the games. I've watched a lot of speedruns of the games. I am not involved in, as in I post in the Reddit forum for Resident Evil, but I'm following it, and I'm seeing the posts, and I'm just, staying involved of more news of what's coming about Resident Evil 4 Remake. And yeah, I look forward to what the future holds for this franchise. Hopefully they do not fumble the bag with this one, because as I said, the greatest game Resident Evil's ever put out, and one of the greatest games of all time. If they fumble the bag on this one, they're so stupid. They better take their time with this and make it flawless as possible. But anyway, appreciate y'all for watching. As always, this has been All We've Been Different. All We've Been Different. And we out.